Today, we're going to talk about demons as it relates to narcissistic personality disorder. I'm Coach Hadassah, metaphysician, minister, emotional health and wellness coach, helping you to navigate this healing space from narcissistic abuse. Okay, let's get into this word demon. I've used this word. There are many others that use this word. And usually when we think about the word demon, we're thinking about it from a, Hollywood movie perspective of this gory monster that has tentacles and 11 limbs and going about, doing stuff. And that's not really what it is. That's for entertainment. It's the movies. However, demon, it literally means negative emotions. That's what the word means, a negative emotion. So we look at the etymology of that word. We're just going to break it down. Demon, demon. D, like decrease, deactivate. That means you're taken away from. Okay. So D, negative. Mon, like Monday is moon day. Mon, moon, emotions. So moon or lunar, that's dealing with the emotions. The word emotion is energy in motion. So demon in the word itself is negative energy in motion. That's what it is. Demon, negative energy in motion. So back in biblical times, Yahshua the Messiah and his disciples, his students, was he was training them on how to heal, and they were going and they were, traveling, teaching, healing, and they were casting out demons or throwing out demons out of people's bodies. That just means that they were throwing out negative or getting the negative emotions out of people's bodies because it was causing them sickness, illness, disease, debilitating conditions, just as it is today. Just as it is today. I've been doing this type of work for the past 10 years now with, releasing trapped emotions out of people's bodies that if you hold on to negative emotions long enough, they resonate with a certain organ in your body, that energy, and it's held or lodged or stuck in a specific organ, and then that organ starts to malfunction. Now, doctors are trained to do what they do, and they're good at doing what they do, right? To diagnose and to treat and to, surgery and all of that, but they're not trained in the energy or the emotions. Now, when you're taking assessments these days, when you go to the doctor and you say you're filling out your paperwork, and I noticed that for probably let's see, when did I first start noticing it, that they would give you that form asking you about your emotional health, because they now understand the science is, you want the science, but the science is like always behind. Okay, it's always behind. So they're understanding now that your emotional health is has a lot to do with the, again, sickness, illness, debilitating conditions that's being caused, right? And so now it's a big thing with mental health and emotional health. You have to take care of that. All right. Now, when you're dealing with someone who may be undiagnosed narcissistic personality disorder, where they function in the lower frequency emotions or negative emotions, I'm going to write them down. Okay. Their highest emotion that they function in is pride. In the scriptures, we hear that pride comes before the fall, right? Well, pride is a lower frequency emotion. It's the highest frequency emotion on the lower frequency emotional scale. So at the root, or the lowest frequency emotion, is shame. They have deep rooted shame. That's their root. Okay. And then there's guilt. Not going to name all of them, but the ones that I could think of that comes off of my head. But I know these two are the lowest. So shame, guilt, there's apathy. There is shame, guilt, apathy. We're going to go with anger. Resentment is in anger. Anger, lust, pride. That's their top. That's where they're capped. Without the proper help from a licensed clinical psychologist who specializes in narcissistic personality disorder, in order to help them get, through the behavioral change that is needed for probably at least 10 years, at least 10 years, at least 10 years of therapy and the work at home. Okay? Because they have been trained pretty much by their environment how to get in and get out of accountability and responsibility and a whole lot of other things. Okay? And so it's like training a child, but that's an adult. And you know how hard that can be, because adults tend to get stuck in their ways, and it's real hard to try to learn something new. But you do when you want to get different results. Right? So this is their highest level there. And so pride coming before the fall, something happens or whatever the case may be, and then they're right back down to shame. And so this is their cycle, from pride to shame to pride to shame. And this is their cycle right here. And with these emotions in between. Okay. Above pride is courage. And so if you're under the narcissist, that means that you have to be below anger and your emotions. And so this is the reason why a lot of people who are dealing with, the narcissist on a regular, consistent basis, they are usually the ones that end up with the sickness, illness, diseases, debilitating conditions if they don't get out. I see it a lot. I mean, I've been doing, work where I'm releasing negative trapped emotions out of people's bodies, and they seem to be okay. However, what they have to do is get a plan in order to remove themselves out of the environment totally, because, our bodies respond to the environment. I mean, our very cells of our body respond to our environment. And if you're not familiar with Dr. Romney, she said the same thing in one of the talks that I just mentioned, that I just saw recently, about, the health conditions that she even sees. And I've seen it a lot over the past 10 years, that she sees with people who are dealing with those who are, undiagnosed narcissists. And then as soon as that person is out of the environment, they just almost instantaneously, their health gets better. Well, the reason why, so the demons are the negative emotions. And if these are the top three, then the emotions here are lower in frequency. And this is what's being held in the body of the person, which is most likely that empath, that they are the ones that end up with the, again, sickness, illness, disease, debilitating conditions. So when we talk about demons, that is just negative energy in motion from that narcissist. See you in the next video.